All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a seriously fascinating case study pulled straight from Office Drama Stories, episode 142. It is an absolutely incredible look at how toxic office politics can hide right in plain sight. Look, we aren't talking about explosive arguments or dramatic boardroom walkouts today. Nope. Instead, we're exploring how actual corporate sabotage usually hides within the absolute most boring administrative data you could ever imagine.
Because here's the thing, corporate sabotage doesn't start with some dramatic movie villain monologue. It almost always starts with a seemingly harmless administrative exception. Just a tiny, quiet deviation from the norm that everyone is simply too busy or maybe too tired to question.
Phase 1. A seemingly harmless record. The trap of mundane details.
So our story centers around Maya Carter. She's a strategy lead who definitely knows better than to just take things at face value. She notices that this specific mentor match record looks, well, a little too clean. It gets presented at the morning meeting as this totally routine update, but Maya doesn't just nod and accept the agenda. Instead, she starts digging into the file's properties, specifically looking at the timestamps and the owner fields. And this perfectly illustrates the massive information gap Maya uncovers. The official leadership explanation is actively pushing this highly polished, fresh start narrative, waving the file off as just some minor process issue. But the raw data? It tells a completely different story. It reveals missing approvals and unauthorized owner changes. Basically, the words are saying progress, but the metadata is screaming cover-up. Phase 2, reading the skipped details, asking the inconvenient questions. Now, this is where we see how junior employees, like Operations Coordinator Sofia Lane, leverage the exact details that senior people usually just skip right over. Sofia opens the file properties and starts asking some highly uncomfortable questions. And notice how incredibly specific they are. What exactly changed? Who changed it? Who approved it? Who gained power? Asking these exact questions immediately sucks the air right out of the room's polite excuses. Panic usually gives powerful people time to clean up, but Sophia's calm, methodical questions make this single, boring file suddenly speak very, very loudly. Honestly, this is such a powerful takeaway to keep in your back pocket for your own career. The truth isn't loud. It isn't dramatic. It's just patiently sitting right there in the metadata, waiting for you to verify it. The system always remembers, even when people deny. Phase 3, building the proof map. Translating logs into undeniable proof. To lock down the facts before management's panic can rewrite the narrative, Maya uses a strict step-by-step sequence. She literally maps it out on the glass boardroom wall. She's building a clean, undeniable path from the initial action directly to the file owner. By strictly following these steps, she completely removes opinions from the equation. When you put the records beside one another, the sequence starts speaking long before anyone has to confess to anything. Then, Maya's colleagues Nina and Jordan bring in calendar exports and raw server logs to construct this timeline. And this reveals a massive rule of the modern workplace. Background work, like booked rooms, scheduled calls, and forwarded links, always leaves a foreground record. The people who are trying to hide their tracks completely forgot that invisible work sees everything. Through this raw export sequence, the undeniable truth finally comes out. This mentor match wasn't just a harmless administrative glitch. No way. It was a deliberate ranking designed to specifically block Nina from the audit track. The old culture was actively using the new system to selectively control who had access to career advancement. It's like a giant puzzle finally clicking into place. Phase 4, the polite corporate cover-up, weaponized buzzwords and the pushback. Now, when the toxic culture fights back, they don't yell. That's the crazy part. Instead, leadership tries to frame the investigation as a personal war. They throw around these weaponized, super polite buzzwords like context, efficiency, and team outcome, framing their warning as kindness. They literally ask the harmed person to be generous and just let the system forget the error for the sake of peace. It is a classic tactic to make the victim feel responsible for the discomfort caused by the evidence. But then, an analyst named Aisha completely derails their polite cover-up by dropping this specific, absolutely crucial question. Who benefits if this stays classified as harmless? Wow, that question instantly forces the room to acknowledge that the harm isn't just abstract. It's not some generic process error. Someone specific is profiting from this erasure, and someone specific is losing out. Phase 5, repair through architecture. Fixing the system, not the mood. Rather than settling for a quiet, comfortable little apology that just leaves the next employee totally exposed, Maya explicitly refuses a private fix. Leadership wanted a quiet email and a hidden revision, kind of sweeping it under the rug. But Maya argues that because the damage to Nina's career was public, the correction absolutely must also be public. You simply cannot quietly fix what can publicly teach. The committee actually goes in and writes active verbs directly into the company's workflow. Words like preserve, notify, correct, attach, name, and audit. This is so crucial, guys. They prove that a safe workplace culture isn't built on good intentions or nice motivational posters. It's built on rigid architecture that leaves footprints. Intentions don't protect people, verbs do. The ultimate repair all comes down to a single new rule written directly into the system. Mentorship cannot become controlled access. This ensures that powerful people are held to the exact same standard as everyone else, effectively stopping the old culture from using mentorship as a gatekeeping tool. They didn't just catch the theft, they actually made the next theft way harder to attempt. As Sofia finally sees her name correctly placed right next to her hard work, we realize the really profound lesson of this explainer. A workplace is only truly safe when records cannot be politely ignored. Naming the work correctly isn't just an administrative courtesy, it is literally how a company proves its integrity. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this thought. Think about your own office for a second. The next time an explanation feels just a little too clean, or a small exception is brushed under the rug, will you have the patience to check the timestamp? What truth is sitting in your system's metadata right now, just waiting to be read? Keep your eyes open and never, ever underestimate the power of a documented sequence.